Hi, my name is Ashley and I'm a mom of 2 little girls. I have a 4-year-old named Kylie and I also have a 2-year-old named Mia. Now, our family moved to the beautiful state of Colorado 4 years ago now, and I'm almost ashamed to admit this, but we are finally taking our very first family camping trip to the mountains in just under a week from today, and we are so excited. Now, while my husband has basically put himself in charge of planning the entire trip and all of the logistics, I have been in charge of planning anything kid related. So I've spent the last couple of weeks putting together all of my lists for things that I know that we need to bring for the girls, activities included. We are going to be driving around to different campsites and staying in different places on different days, and there are going to be a couple of times where we're going to be in the car for a pretty long period of time. So whenever they're not sleeping or we're not out for a lunch break, I want to be as prepared as possible to hopefully ward off some of the "are we there yet" moments that kids often have. Now, I've already done a video in the past where I offered general travel tips for Montessori families, which if you're interested in checking that out, I will put a link to it in the description box down below. But this video is going to zero in specifically on activity ideas that are not only travel friendly, but also Montessori friendly and screen free. They're appropriate for toddlers or preschoolers, and they're also a little bit more open-ended, so they're more likely to keep your child engaged for a much longer time. So from one busy parent to another, today I would like to share with you 10 travel-friendly activities for Montessori families. Now, if you've seen some of my other videos, you may already know that my girls are allowed to have 1 hour of screen time each day. But I knew when planning this trip that I wanted them to have a completely screen-free experience. I want them to get outside and spend as much time in nature as they possibly can. And so any activities I was going to bring were going to be fairly low-key. I purposefully selected a small group of open-ended activities that I've observed my girls gravitating toward on their own during quiet time or other moments of independent play. And then all I did was pare them down from what we normally have available in our home to a much more manageable selection that we can take on the road with us. And most of the activities were small enough to fit into these awesome little see-through zippered pouches, which is really convenient because then I can quickly find whatever it is that I'm looking for. And for the 2 or 3 that aren't, they are still very small in size anyway. So my plan is just to put all of the little zippered pouches and other miscellaneous things into a bigger bag and just have that ready to go. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the activities. And the first one is animal figurines. So hands down, these are my girls' favorite toys of all time. They play with these every single day. They have since they were babies. I don't see an end to it coming anytime soon. So I knew right away that this was going to be the top of our list. Now, the figurines that I have in here are primarily Schleich figurines. I think I've got 1 Safari LTD figurine, but we really like these because they're super detailed. They look realistic, just like the real animal. They're actually pretty sizable and heavy and sturdy. So I asked them which ones they wanted. They said they're wild animals. So that's the group that I have in here because we have other sets of them. And because I am packing for 2 kids, I did fit as many as I could into this little pouch, which roughly ended up being about 8 to 10 of them. If I had 1 child, I probably would have only brought like 4 or 5, but yeah, so animal figurines. Next on the list were vehicles. Again, another small zippered pouch filled with just a small handful of some of our vehicles. I think I've got a little peace bus, as well as a family car, a police car, a school bus, and an ambulance. And they are the die-cast metal ones. They have wheels that actually go. The girls love playing with these. We don't have quite as many of them as we do the animal figurines, which is why I have fewer of them, but I know that the girls are gonna have a blast taking these on our trail walks with us and zooming them around the camper and whatever it is that they do with them. Next up are magnetiles and magnetic blocks. So this is the setup that I have for this particular activity. This little pouch right here is a little travel set of magnetic blocks. I think the brand is Tegu, that my girls received for Christmas this year, and they're actually really satisfying to play with because the magnets are really strong. Not strong enough to hurt them, but strong enough for them to click together really nicely. And they are wooden blocks, which is really fascinating because you don't normally see magnetic blocks, but it's a little small set that's perfect for on the go, comes with its own little pouch. But then I also figured, why not take along a couple of the magnetiles, because the girls love magnetiles. So again, we have a much bigger set that they typically play with. I think it's like 60 pieces or something. I only put maybe about 20, maybe even less than that inside this little pouch. I figured they can divide them up between the 2 of them and it should be more than enough. And in the camper, this is probably all the girls are going to need to be able to play with these activities. But I saw a really cool little hack on Instagram a very long time ago that I was like, mental note, gotta make sure I come back to that whenever we travel. And that is to bring along a cookie sheet for the magnets to stick to so that the girls can use them in their laps in the car. I mean, come on. How cool is that? They can put them anywhere that they want to on the little cookie sheet. They can set it flat down in their lap and they can proceed to, oh, I'm gonna get another one. They can proceed to actually build the little structures that they would normally build when they're at home on the ground, and it's kind of self-contained. I'm sure you could probably use a much larger cookie sheet if you wanted to, but I didn't want to bring large cookie sheets on the road with me. So I thought these little mini-sized ones were perfect for the job. I did find them on Amazon in a 2-pack, which was perfect because I have 2 kids. So I'm super excited to try this out and I think they're gonna love it. And speaking of magnetic things, the next activity is a Magna Tab. Now, most of the activities that I'm sharing with you in the video today are ones that we already had on hand at home, but this is one that I only very recently learned about and I was like, this is really cool. So I went ahead and purchased one. It was fairly inexpensive anyway, and I haven't shown it to the girls yet. I'm waiting until we go on the camping trip because I know they're gonna be really excited to try it out. So if you've never seen one of these things before, this is what it looks like. It's a small little rectangle that's like perfectly sized for small hands. It's actually really thin. And in the top, there's a little stylus with a magnetic tip. And the way it works is that you use the stylus to pull up these little metal balls into the holes and then they just stick there. And it's really satisfying to like actually do it with the pen. Like you can feel the balls popping up, and then they also make this really cool clicking sound too. It's kind of awkward to do it from this angle, but just so that you guys can see it a little bit better. Like it's super cool. And you can actually do a single line, just not at this angle. And then when you're all done and you're ready to clear it, you literally just need to swipe the little balls back inside with a fingertip or with the edge of your hand, and they just disappear and you can start all over again. So yeah, I thought this was really cool for fine motor development, developing that pencil grip, and also just, you know, sensory feedback and the sounds and the feeling and everything. And I don't know, pretty cool. Magna Tab. The next activity is Wiki Sticks. So my girls love Wiki Sticks. We are literally still playing with the same tiny little pack that I bought them as a stocking stuffer at Christmas time. So I went ahead and bought another pack that is slightly larger. This way there's enough for them to share. I did put it in one of these little pouches because even though right now it's still in its packaging, I am gonna take it out of the packaging and then I'm gonna need a place to put it. So these are gonna be in one of the little pouches also. If you've never seen Wiki Sticks before, they're really satisfying to play with. It's literally like a string of yarn covered in wax, but the girls can mold them and shape them, and they stick to paper and other things, and they do all kinds of weird things with Wiki Sticks, and they keep them entertained for freakishly long amounts of time. So Wiki Sticks. Next up are Water Wow books. Now we have had exactly one Water Wow book since my older daughter was a toddler and she could use them. I keep it in my diaper bag at all times, and you would think after all this time that they would have gotten bored of it. They don't. They ask to use it every single time we're out somewhere. So I figured I would surprise them and pick them up a couple of new Water Wow books to play with. And I was able to find a 3-pack of them on Amazon at a good price. It included the On the Farm one as well as Under the Sea, and also the Safari one. So I know they're gonna love these. And real quick, just in case you've never seen a Water Wow book before, I feel like most people have at this point, but you know, maybe you're a new parent and you haven't. So the cover part has a little plastic compartment right here that stores one of these little pens. And the pen just twists open for you to put water in the tube, and then you twist it back together. It's like a little water paintbrush, so the water comes out this side. Your child can open it up. It usually has, I think, 4 different little pages. Yeah, there's 4 of them in here. But then your child can paint, and as the water goes onto the paper part of it, it makes the colors appear. And then it dries and turns white again, and then they can do it all over again as many times as they want. I love that it involves only water, so it's fairly mess-free, aside from them getting a little bit wet if they decide to paint on themselves, which my preschooler definitely does. But yeah, so I love Water Wow books, and I would definitely recommend taking at least one if you're going on a trip. Along similar lines, I am also packing some mini sketch pads and colored pencils. So again, I was looking for small, easy to transport, and I found these really adorable little mini sketch pads that are just the right size. They don't exactly fit in the little bag. They're just slightly too big, but that's okay. They're still small enough that I was able to put all the colored pencils that the girls like to use. We'll package it up together and then toss it in our bag. And I'm envisioning the girls either drawing in the car, or even when we're out camping, maybe taking it out almost like a nature journal and drawing pictures of some of the things that they see, neat bugs, maybe doing some leaf rubbings or something, like whatever it is that they want to do. And as far as the actual colored pencils that I'm taking 2 different kinds. My toddler likes to use our favorite Stabilo 3-in-1 woody chunky colored pencils. These are awesome because they don't break and they're just like the perfect size for little hands. And my older daughter likes to use those too, but she also sometimes likes to use the traditional thin colored pencils. So we're gonna take both because we've got room in the pouch for both. And I'm also gonna take along the sharpeners for each of them just in case they break a tip off or something and they need to sharpen them. The next activity is books because my girls love to read. We have quite an extensive collection of books at home, but we also go to the library every single week. In fact, we were there today and we checked out 25 books. Usually I try to limit it to like 10 or 12, but they just kept picking up books left and right and being like, I want to try this one. And we ended up coming home with 25. So anyway, that side, we love to read. We're always reading during the day and at bedtime. And so it wasn't even really a question of whether or not we were going to bring books. It was more so which books are we going to bring and how many of them. So I'm trying to keep it fairly limited. I did ask the girls which books were their favorites that they wanted to take along with them, and they gave me some ideas, but I have a feeling that those ideas are likely going to change over the course of the next week. But right now, the couple that we have picked out based on their input are a couple of the new Love Every books that are in the 3-year-old kit that my toddler loves. We read these like 40 times a day, as well as a Berenstain Bears book or two. I don't know which ones, we have a few, but this is one of the ones we've been reading lately, so I figured maybe this one. And then also my preschooler is really into reading chapter books with us at nighttime for bedtime stories. And one of the first ones that I introduced her to was this Mercy Watson series, which is really cute. It actually has a lot of illustrations in it, like on every page, so it keeps their interest in watching as you're reading to them. And there's a series of them. So this was, I think, the first or the second one, I can't remember. But anyway, so we're gonna bring some Mercy Watson books, like 1 or 2 of them. So I have a feeling we'll probably end up with somewhere in the ballpark of like 5 or 6 books that we take with us. And for those many hours when we're going to be in the car where I can't actively sit down and read books with the girls, I figured it would be really great if we could bring along our audiobooks, which is the next activity. So my 4-year-old absolutely loves listening to audiobooks on her Yotto player, which I will pop a picture up of here because I don't physically have it to show you because she's using it right now. She likes to listen to it as she's falling asleep in bed at night. And so we're definitely bringing the Yotto player with us, along with at least a couple of the different audiobook cards that she has. And we're also going to bring along her little pair of kids size headphones that can plug directly into the Yotto. This way, if she wants to listen to it while we're in the car, because it does have the ability to operate on battery, that way she can do that without disturbing anybody else who maybe doesn't want to listen to her story in that moment, and vice versa, so that if my husband and I are talking and she's trying to listen, she isn't being interrupted and she can focus on the story. If you've never seen a Yotto player before, it is absolutely genius. It's a screen-free way for your child to listen to audiobooks. All you have to do is take one of the little audiobook cards, pop it into the top of the player, and then it immediately starts playing. And then when it's done, it's done. They pull it out, they can choose a new one. If you're connected to Wi-Fi, there's also a little button on the side that allows you to toggle between kids' podcast shows and also different kids' radio stations. But we're gonna be in the middle of the mountains, so we're not gonna be using that function. Now, my toddler, to be honest, isn't really interested in using the Yotto yet to listen to audiobooks. She likes to pop in some of the music cards that we have, so we might bring along 1 or 2 of those if they wanna listen to some kids' music on it, but primarily it's going to be for my 4-year-old to listen to books. There's actually a charger inside of the camper van that we're renting, so I'll be able to charge up the battery on the Yotto while we're driving if need be, which is awesome. And that is literally the only battery operated thing that we are bringing with us for the kids. And the final activity that we're bringing with us are family card games. So I was really excited to be able to find a 6-pack on Amazon that includes some of the really classic ones that most of you have already heard of that are good for both toddlers and preschoolers depending on which game you choose. For example, there's a matching activity that is going to be perfect for my toddler, but then we could play Go Fish with my preschooler. She plays checkers, she plays chess, so she's gonna be really excited to learn some of these new games because she's never played any of them with us before. We also have Slapjack, Old Maid, oh my gosh, I haven't even played that since like middle school. Memory, and also Crazy Eights. So I figured it would be a really fun thing to do anytime we're all kind of sitting around. We all have family downtime, I guess, when we're in the middle of nowhere. Maybe we've all just gotten back from a hike and we're hot and ready to relax, who knows? So I figured it would be great to have at least a couple of these on hand. And that, my friends, concludes the 10 Montessori-friendly travel activity ideas that I had for you guys today. If you have any ideas of your own, definitely drop them in the comments down below and share them with us. If you are interested in learning more about doing Montessori at home or positive discipline parenting, I offer a couple of e-courses that walk you through it step by step. So I will be sure to leave a link to that in the description box down below in case you're interested in learning more about it. And just in case you are new to my channel, I also wanted to let you know that this video is part of a much larger series on this YouTube channel called Montessori at Home, which is aimed at providing practical tips and advice for busy parents like you and I for implementing Montessori at home with our children. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in watching more of, then you might consider subscribing to my channel. This way you don't miss a new video, because I do upload a new one just like this one every single week. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.